Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Monroe from Texas BPA Area 1 Region 3. We have a lot of new advisors in our region, and I kind of wanted to create something to maybe help you with the whole getting started with BPA. What do I do? I get asked quite a lot, well, what do I do? How do I get started? What do I need to know? Like, what do I need to know today, like right now in the month of September? So I thought I would just take a few minutes to go through what I am currently doing. There's some awesome resources on the bpa.org website under the source. There's webinars and everything. But I really wanted to give a very, very short and sweet, like, what do I need to know this second instance, basically, and then come back. Please forgive me. It's very weird knowing I'm being recorded on my face for the first time and I can't see it. My computer's having issues. First part, I actually keep the bpa.org and the texasbpa.com website updated and pretty much tabbed on my tabs of Chrome, like at all times. I always have kids stopping by asking questions, things I have to go look up, so I just keep it up so I don't have to go through and find it. A lot of people ask, well, Kelly, what are you doing right now in the month of September? So the month of September for me is a major recruitment time. I am trying to recruit members. We just had our first class of graduating seniors last year. We're a new school, and so I lost a bunch of kids. So I was like, okay, I went down from 56 down to 29 returning members, assuming they all come back. So I'm trying to recruit to get my numbers back up. Now, some of you all are probably laughing. I know there's some chapters in my own school district that are at 200. I like the smaller chapter, that's just me, but it's kind of where the students go and who signs up. It fluctuates from year to year, and that's kind of the fun in it. So for recruitment, there's a lot of things that I do, and I'm actually going to start like a Google Doc that I will share with my region, and anyone else that wants any of this information, I'm more than happy to share with you as well, of different recruitment ideas. So I worked Cub Camp, we had a club fair and things, and then I also have these flyers hung up around my school with a QR code. I use the QR code to basically collect the student information. I want to find a way to contact them. That's usually my first thing, is once I can get them hooked and they're in my email chain and I'm talking to them, usually many of them will, well, you know what, I really do want to join. More of my friends are talking about it, kind of thing. And we encourage our members, bring friends when you come. For us, I mean, month of September and October for me is heavy recruitment. Come on, guys, let's come play. A couple other things that I do in my chapter. Oh, that QR code is actually linked, oh no, to a member form where I'm collecting a bunch of information from them. As a older advisor, and yes, I rolled my eyes when I said that, I've learned the hard way to ask for some specific information. So I asked for their email address because many of my students will check their personal email but not their school email. So I actually got asked for both on here, along with their ID number. I asked their grade because you have to have that information when you put it in BPA. I asked their t-shirt size because when you register for a student for state, you have to know their t-shirt size, and it saves me from having to run around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to find this information. I do ask the cell phone number, but I actually delete that row off of my table because I'm not supposed to have that. That's just our school rules. So once I have students who are signed up, I actually give them access. I give them a link to a student shared folder. A lot of my students are very excited to be a BPA. They want to get started. What do I need to know? I have returning members. I mean, I can tell you right now, up until September 1st, I had kids banging on my door. Do we have our topics yet? Do we have our topics yet? And so when you're first signing kids up, they don't have a login to the bpa.org system. So when I go to BPA, I have a login as a chapter advisor. I can get in and I can go to the download center and go through and start downloading topics. When you have 50 kids banging on your door because they want the website design team topic right now, it's just too chaotic. And I learned the hard way, especially right now, not to print it quite yet because there's always some mistakes and changes that happen. It's a fact of life. And so I actually make a Google folder, which is turned on that anyone with this access can view it, of the WSAP. And yes, there's a one that just got released. There was a mistake that was found that we need to put in there. So they can go and pull this up and look at their topics right now without having to log in. I find that this way the kids who are excited and ready to go can get started. And that's the big thing. They're excited, they want to work. Let's let them work on it now, because the closer we get to that regional date, they all tend to stop and like be bogged down in actual schoolwork and things like that. So the more they get done now, the better off I find that they'll practice and they'll get ready for competition especially like in my region, we have very, very strong competition, which is awesome. And these kids have got to prepare if they want to continue. I also put a copy of the style and reference manual in here because some of them are taking practice tests and they have to actually know how to type an agenda. So when they're doing the practice test, they can see the formatting and actually practice the whole test. In my folder, I even put practice tests that they can go through and look over. So I go back quite a few years. I tell them not really to look back more than this many years because tests do change over time. If you are a brand spanking new chapter, a brand new advisor, and you don't have any old tests, contact your regional advisor. If you're brand new, you should have gotten an email from me or Miss Weber that here's last year's tests. Feel free to use these to help to study. The reason we do that is so that you can prepare your students. But after that year, you're supposed to pay the $20 to be able to get these tests. These tests, the money generated from that is actually used to provide scholarships to seniors. So in Area 1, Region 3, we give 2 scholarships out to our seniors who apply. Some years no one applies, some years we have a lot that apply. And the only reason we can fund that is because we sell old tests. So you want to make sure that these are available. If you do buy the tests, like in my region, it actually will show up on your invoice when you register to come to regionals if you choose to put it on there. So that way you can just pay for it right then. When state is over, that's when they're allowed to release the regional tests to advisors so that you can have students look them over just to see what was going on. Once I have students that are kind of either knowing what they want to do or we've had conversations, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have lots of conversations with students, especially at this time of year. I want kids to sign up where either they've got experience, they have hopes and dreams, or they're hoping that I'm taking classes right now and this will help me benefit. So I actually create a Google Sheet to help me figure out which kids are in which chapters because BPA has a couple rules, and one of them is that a student can take an individual event and a team event, but only one student in a chapter can take the event. So if I have a chapter here, and I've got Joe, Chris, Kelly, and Julie that all want to take the financial analyst team, and they want to work together as a team, which is awesome, and that's great. However, none of them can take the same individual event. They all have to choose a different one. So if Joe and Chris both wanted to take advanced accounting, only one of them would. I solved that by just talking with the students. Well, do you really think you can do that? Have you taken accounting 1? Are you doing this? And there are times where everybody's equally qualified and we have a practice test. And whoever scores the highest is the one that's going to be signed up for that contest. And I know quite a few schools have to do that because they're very big. Because I only have around 56 members, I only have 2 chapters. However, I know of several schools that have 5, 6, or 7 chapters. You have to have 10 kids or 9 kids and an advisor to make a chapter, and you can break it up, and that gives your kids more opportunity to compete in events that way. You do have a few downfalls. One of the reasons I don't like having quite so many chapters is just based on the number of competitors that move from level to level. I don't want my own kids knocking themselves out, so to speak. However, sometimes that's just how it goes. You can decide, and they all want to do it. I have done that as well, where we actually had 5 chapters in at one of my schools one year, and it was fun. I had 5 doing fundamental accounting. We couldn't decide, and that's just how it worked. Once a student basically signs up for a contest, that's when I'll go and make sure that they have the WSAP so they can go look at the topics and kind of go through, like, here's what the expectations are. We do have several meetings and practice meetings throughout the year. We're actually getting ready to have a cookie social event. We're combining forces with our other CTSOs for recruitment because we found that students will come to these events more if they've got a friend coming. So I have some, they're like, well, we're going to do HOSA. Well, I'm doing BPA. If I get them to come to the same meeting together, there's a higher chance that I'm going to be able to hook them on the Kool-Aid, as I like to say. So while I'm going through, we do those conversations, I talk with them, and then we kind of break off into judged events and training for that versus non-judged events. I also make lots of friends in my school so that I can go through and send students to go and get expert help. Economics is not my forte, we'll just say that. Hand me a software, I can learn it in a heartbeat. Economics doesn't happen. So I make friends so that I can get students to help get mentored where it suits them best. And so we all kind of help each other out. My other advisor is amazing. John is awesome at helping these kids prepare for public speaking. So he goes and he'll take my financial analyst team or he'll take my teams and they'll have to go present, and we do practice sessions. We're going to practice for regionals. And those are the kinds of things that's going to help you get further along. I do have a handbook that I will be sending out. It comes from Miss Weber. Once we have our board meeting in September, it will go out, which will kind of help explain a few things. But if that's all you kind of get, I have to go to the BPA website to go through and download things, and I've got the Texas website booked and I'm getting kids signed up. You're doing pretty well. If you are ready to put kids in the system, you're going to go here to the bpa.org site and go to the member registration system. Oh, my internet. And when you go on here, we're going to go to member login. I have more than one chapter, so I'm on them. And I'll go up here where it says interview your members. If you are taking over a chapter, you can actually import members from both chapters that is at your school or bring them in from last year. I would click this, but I have current students' names that would pop up, and I don't feel comfortable with that, so we'll just have to take my word for it. So I can go through and click, these are the kids that are returning, these are the grades they're in now, and it brings in their information from last year. They do get a new contestant ID number. That's one little downfall. And I give all my contestants the same password. They need that contestant ID and the password you put in the system to log in. For me, that password is the same for every student. That way I don't have to remember what it is. I can also import them from another chapter. So in my case right here, I have more than one chapter. It's entirely possible that I'll have had like Joe and Chris who are in my chapter this year but are put into Zoda's chapter for whatever reason next year. If I have their contestant ID numbers and I print and save those every year, I can actually bring those in and I can change their chapters. So instead of being over there, they can be over here. There's a few instances that happens. I try hard not to have that happen because there's been years that I've had to call the national office and ask for those numbers to be sent to me. Can you tell I'm slightly shameful? But you can get that information if you do need it. I hope this helped. I hope it was very nice, short, and sweet. If you guys really do like this kind of information, I'm happy to keep creating these videos.